Lu Ruyan married me when I was in the most humiliating situation. Everyone said she married me despite my brother. But after she died in a car accident, she left all her inheritance to me, along with a recorder. I gently opened it and heard her hoarse, low voice. She said, "G. Boda, could you love me too?" After many years, I finally glimpsed the majestic and profound love she hid beneath her icy exterior. When I opened my eyes again, I was reborn. My adoptive mother was holding my hand and said, "Boda, will you go to jail for your brother?" Before I turned 16, I was the only favored young master of the G family. My parents loved me, my brother doted on me, and I lived a carefree life. But when Ito Makoto arrived at our house with a DNA test, I learned that the nurse had made a mistake at birth. He was the real young master, and I was merely a cuckoo in the magpie's nest. I wanted to leave, but my biological parents had long since passed away. G's mother couldn't bear to see me become an orphan, so she formally adopted me. My adoptive parents treated me well. My brother didn't ignore me, and Ito Makoto never made things difficult for me. I was grateful. However, Ito Makoto later had an argument with a co-star backstage. During the dispute, the man fell down the stairs and became comatose. There was no surveillance footage, but someone had to take the blame, and I happened to be there. Having witnessed everything, my adoptive mother came to me in tears, begging me to take the fall for Ito Makoto. Ito Makoto knelt before me, kowtowed, slapped himself, and apologized profusely. The whole family was in tears, so I nodded. I took the blame, went to prison, and suffered greatly. At first, the G family visited me, either crying with guilt or offering apologies. But gradually, their visits stopped. Once, the prison organized an activity, and the warden asked about our plans after release. I thought for a long time before writing earnestly, "After I get out of prison, I want to see my parents." The cellmate next to me saw it and laughed, saying my plan was too simple. "Your dad and mom will definitely come to pick you up. How could you not see them?" I smiled and didn't argue. But when I was finally released, no one came. Only G's father's assistant drove me to the airport and gave me a large sum of money. He didn't say anything, but I understood. My dad and mom didn't want me anymore. The G family had abandoned me. I didn't take the money, not out of nobility, but because I didn't want to owe the G family anything. They had raised me for over 20 years, and I had spent 5 years in prison for their son. We were even. I rented a house and struggled to find a job that didn't reject me for my criminal record. But after just half a month, I was fired. I asked around and learned from the manager, who hesitantly said, "You crossed the wrong person." I was stunned but understood. Who else could it be but the G family? That day, I walked out onto the street, clutching my bag. It was drizzling, and the cool rain fell on my face and body with the wind. As I passed the central square, Ito Makoto's live broadcast was playing on a big screen. I stopped and looked up. On the podium, he was handsome and showcased his talent effortlessly. The camera panned, and I saw G's father and mother watching him with tears in their eyes, as if he were a rare treasure. Their gazes filled with love. Suddenly, I recalled the first visit after I was imprisoned. My adoptive mother looked at me, rapidly wasting away, and promised through tears, "Boda, when you get out, Mom will take care of you for the rest of your life. Mom loves you." But 2 years ago, during our last meeting, her expression carried a trace of guilt. She said, "Boda, Chengcheng is getting engaged to Ruyan Lu. He loves her deeply. When you're released, can you leave this place so the Lu family won't learn about your past?" Ruyan Lu, the daughter of the Lu family. There was a TV in prison, and occasionally, I'd hear about the deep love between Makoto Ito and Ruyan Lu. It was said that Ruyan Lu was a renowned talent in elite circles. Yet she gave up her ambitions for Makoto Ito and entered the entertainment industry, which she despised. She paved the way for him, provided connections and resources, and even presented him with awards. Occasionally, I envied Makoto Ito. I envied that he had parents who loved him and a girlfriend who adored him. In just over 20 years, he had achieved success in both career and love. Unlike me, I had no parents, no career, no lover, and no one to love me. As for marrying Ruyan Lu, it was an accident. After being fired, I returned to my hometown and worked as a waiter in a restaurant. It was busy work. I don't know how she found me, but when she did, I was serving beer to customers. One man, drunk and belligerent, groped me. I frowned and slapped him. Enraged, he kicked me to the ground. Beer and food spilled over me, scalding my skin. He wasn't satisfied and kept cursing, ready to hit me again. But suddenly, he went silent. I opened my eyes and saw a woman with star-like eyes. Lu Ruyan curled her lips into a lazy, insincere smile. "Ji Boda, are you really here?" I stood up, brushed the food crumbs off my body, nodded, and tried to walk past her. But after 2 steps, I heard her voice behind me. "You look so pathetic. Want to marry me?" I turned around, stunned, and said, "You're crazy, aren't you?" Lu Ruyan squinted at me, her eyes dark and emotionless. But her tone was serious. "To be honest, your brother dumped me. I'm in a bad mood. And the G family has driven you to this state. We're both victims." In a way, the streetlights were dim, flickering twice before going out completely. I couldn't see her face clearly, only the faint red glow of the cigarette at the corner of her mouth as she sneered. "You have nothing now. Marrying me won't cost you anything. What are you afraid of?" I thought it over and said nothing. She waited quietly until a cool breeze made me shiver. Lu Ruyan took off her high-end, custom-made trench coat and draped it over my shoulders. Instantly, my senses were filled with her faint tobacco scent. I said, "Okay." When news of the marriage spread, everyone was shocked. They said Lu Ruyan married me just despite Ito Makoto. At the wedding, when Lu Ruyan said, "I do," I noticed Ito Makoto leave the venue in disgrace. I glanced at her, but she only smiled, not even sparing him a glance. As if she had never loved him. As if she truly didn't care. After marriage, Lu Ruyan treated me well. She arranged a job for me as a secretary. We were together constantly. When I asked why, she smiled playfully. "I'm worried about leaving a handsome guy like you at home. What if someone steals you away? Wouldn't it be a great loss if I lost my innocence?" I laughed at her for being frivolous and was too lazy to argue with her. I suffered too much during those years in prison. My body couldn't endure any hardship. An ordinary person's cold or cough would cause a serious illness in me. Lu Ruyan invited various renowned doctors to treat me. And I recovered. In front of the bed, she held my hand earnestly and devoutly. "Ji Boda, I bought you. Your life is mine. You can't die before me." Childish words, but looking at her slightly bitter eyes, I nodded. After all, I didn't understand why she was sad. But I had long learned not to ask. Not to disturb. Okay, grow old together. But in the end, the one who broke the promise was not me, but Lu Ruyan. Mr. G. Ms. Lu passed away at 3 a.m. yesterday due to a severe car accident. The rescue efforts were ineffective. Please accept my condolences. Pushing open the morgue door, Lu's parents had already cried and wept. I looked at Lu Ruyan, whose face was pale and colorless. But I only thought to myself that God favored her and gave her a family background, appearance, and ability that others could not match. But why was he so stingy and only gave her 34 years? What a pity. What a pity. I was the one who organized Lu Ruyan's funeral. 5 years after our marriage, many people were still skeptical about my marriage to her. Ito Makoto even turned his love into hatred and was always waiting to see me fail. But no one expected that Lu Ruyan would give me all her property and shares. Lu's parents had no objection. But when they left, their backs were hunched, and they no longer had the spirit of the past. A week later, Lu Ruyan's lawyer, Chen, brought me the inheritance transfer certificate. Before leaving, she handed me a recorder. "This is Ms. Lu's relic, which has been repaired. I think you might need it." "Sir, Ji Boda." In the recorder, the woman's voice was clear and cold, mixed with a hint of static, making it even hoarser. "I never married you because I was angry with Ito Makoto, but because I loved you." I was stunned for a moment, but my heart was calm, as if I had expected it. Lu Ruyan smiled gently. "Maybe you have forgotten that we had met before. At that time, you were the most brilliant student in the school, extremely smart and the teacher's favorite. My mentor would always talk about you. Every time after she finished chatting with your teacher, she would say to me angrily, 'Lu Ruyan, I hate you now. Stay away from me.'" She imitated the tone of her mentor and seemed particularly charming. I laughed subconsciously, but the next moment, she slowly withdrew her smile. Lu Ruyan continued to say, "I envied you so much at that time, but I couldn't help but keep my eyes on you. I seemed to be a little bit petty. Hee. But later, you were imprisoned because of the so-called intentional injury. I didn't believe it. I had to find out the truth. But unfortunately, the G family cleared all the clues very well. So I set my sights on Ito Makoto. It turned out that the love between Lu Ruyan and Ito Makoto, which was praised by everyone, was just a pretext for her to uncover the truth about my imprisonment. But Lu Ruyan didn't expect that Ito Makoto's lips were sealed tight. But she still found clues after all. I suddenly remembered that before marriage, Lu Ruyan asked me excitedly one day, "Boda, do you want revenge?" No. I shook my head. We're even now. After many years, I finally understood. She probably found out the truth that day. She uncovered the truth for me and hid the truth for me. It turns out that everything was because of me. The emotions in my eyes trembled violently, and my whole body couldn't help but shake uncontrollably. Tears fell one by one. But then again, my acting skills must be very, very good, so I deceived everyone, including you. Do you know how adorable your expression and eyes were when I went to ask you to marry me? Forget it, I've said too much again. In fact, I've always wanted to ask you. Lu Ruyan coughed. She has always been cold and proud. But at this moment, she spoke with a rare hint of girlish shyness. G. Boda, can you love me too? I may not be able to hear it in this life. But tell me again when I go to find you in the next life. Along with the screech of sudden brakes and the noisy screams of the crowd, I clearly heard her last words. She said, G. Boda, I really, really, really love you. There was actually a hint of a smile at the end of her voice. The suppressed emotions suddenly collapsed at this moment. In the empty living room, on the table were the lilies that Lu Ruyan brought home a few days ago. I have always loved lilies. So she held them in front of me like offering a treasure. Boda, are they fragrant? I specially went to pick them one by one. Boda, from now on, all the flowers in the house will be chosen by me. At that time, the tiny smile in her eyes was like gentle starlight. How could I say no? But the person who made the promise lied. She left first and took away the last bit of life of the lily. The warm sun fell on my shoulders through the French window. I raised my hand to touch it, but I only felt cold. Until today, I finally glimpsed Lu Ruyan's profound and secret love hidden under the ice. But it seems too late. Lawyer Chen met G. Boda again a week later. He came to get the inheritance transfer certificate. He had been with Lu Ruyan for many years and had met G. Boda many times. In his impression, G. Boda was always composed, neither happy nor angry, not moved. Even when he learned of Lu Ruyan's death, he was just stunned for a moment, and his eyes didn't even turn red. Lu Ruyan was so good to him, but he only shed one tear for her. Lawyer Chen once felt sorry for Lu Ruyan in his heart, but this time, as soon as he entered the living room, Lawyer Chen actually saw G. Boda holding a few bunches of lilies that had long withered. And his face was paler than the falling snow. When he saw him, he didn't even offer a polite smile, but just stated coldly, Lawyer Chen, donate her property to the orphanage. I don't want it, and there was no room for negotiation. Before leaving, Lawyer Chen couldn't help but turn back and ask, Mr. G, have you ever loved Ms. Lu? And G. Boda just smiled but didn't answer. Many years later, G. Boda became a philanthropist reported by the media and sponsored countless orphans. The next time I saw him was at his sickbed. He was clearly only 45 years old, but his hair was already white. At that time, he looked out the window, as if he saw someone. She said, I love you. I have always loved you. Boda, Mom, please save your brother. Your brother is still so young. How can I go to jail? Brother, I really know I was wrong. I didn't mean to do it. I don't want to go to jail. I'm a big star. If I go to jail, my life will be ruined. When I woke up from the darkness, I heard a noisy crying voice. My head hurt so badly that I slowly opened my eyes and saw everything in front of me. Ito Makoto was kneeling on the ground, crying. Father G hugged him distress-edly to comfort him, while Mother G was holding my hand tightly. With tears in her eyes and face, she spoke with a slight sob, but very seriously. Boda, can you go to jail for your brother? I looked at her silently, as if it were an encouragement. Mother G gritted her teeth and said, Boda, there was no surveillance at the scene. Only you and a Chung were there. The paparazzi only took a picture of your back, and they couldn't recognize anything. As long as you admit that you accidentally pushed Lu Xiaoxiao, the police can't find out anything. Don't worry. After you go to jail, your mother will definitely take care of everything for you and won't let you suffer. After you get out of prison, the Ji family will also support you for the rest of your life. Yes, she said so in my previous life. But the shelf life was only 1 year. The promise expired. I was kicked out of the single room. Because of my beauty, some people bullied and retaliated against me, beat me, insulted me, and even poisoned me. I was miserable, but no one saw me. Until I was poisoned by nitrite in the food and was released on medical parole. Ji's mother came to my bedside. That day, she glanced down at me with a hint of impatience. After all, it was a prison, not a vacation home. It was inevitable to suffer a little. Boda, don't be so squeamish. Ah Cheng is going on a business trip abroad recently. I am worried. I guess I won't have time to visit you in the future. After that, I never saw her again. Looking at Ji's mother's face full of tears, I believe that what she said at this moment was all from the heart. But sincerity is changeable. The guilt and self-blame toward me eventually turned into a deeper fear as time passed. I gently broke free from Ji's mother's hand and said, "No." Ji's mother was stunned. She probably didn't expect that I, who seemed to be as obedient as a sheep, would actually refuse her. But when I spoke again, I was serious and firm. "Mom, thank you for raising me for 20 years. But I don't want to sacrifice my life for this. You can call me selfish or ungrateful, but I don't want to take the blame for him. I was reborn not to repeat the same mistakes. In my last life, Lu Ruyan saved me. In this life, I want to save myself. Then, I will walk to Lu Ruyan with a clean name and dignity." My refusal angered Ji's father. He scolded me for not being grateful. I had enjoyed the benefits of the Ji family for so many years. But I was unwilling to give a single cent. Ji's mother and Ito Makoto cried their hearts out. But seeing that I was not moved, they were worried that I would escape. So they locked me in the room. Only my brother Bawang said nothing from beginning to end. Just like in my last life, Ji's mother took my phone away. But she didn't know that I had a spare phone. She called me. The news that Lu Xiaoxiao was seriously injured in an accident yesterday and became a vegetable has been on the hot list. There are very few clues. Only the paparazzi once took a blurry photo of her from behind and his words that Ito Makoto and his brother had been alone with Lu Xiaoxiao for a while. The police are probably on their way. I opened the spare phone. I subconsciously dialed a phone number. Looking at the familiar numbers, I was stunned for a moment. But I didn't dial it out. Somehow, I was always afraid. I was afraid that the person on the other end of the phone was not the one I was familiar with. I was even more afraid that I would never see her again when I woke up from the dream. In the previous life, after Lu Ruyan passed away, I paid the phone bill for her mobile phone regularly. In the dead of night, I would send her text messages, either daily or to complain. And I would always get a sentence, "Boda, I'm here." It was her automatic reply that she set before she died. How could this person be so hateful? She held my heart so tightly that I couldn't forget her for 10, 20, or 30 years. I got up and opened the curtains. The warm sun shone through the window and fell on me, bringing a hint of coolness. I saw the police outside the door and the obscure eyes of Bawang. With trembling hands, I finally sent a text message, "Lu Ruyan, do you want to come and save me?" Ji's mother wanted to stop me from showing up and then confirm my guilt. But I slammed the door. Facing the police's inquiries, I ignored Ji's mother's pleading eyes and responded one by one. In the previous life, the case was successfully convicted and closed because I took the initiative to admit the crime and even erased my alibi. But in this life, I will not be so foolish. The kindness of the past 20 years or so had been exhausted in the previous life. Not hating is already my limit. Compared with my calmness, Ito Makoto seemed even more flustered and guilty. Who was right and who was wrong was clear at a glance. When Ito Makoto was taken away, Ji's mother cried hysterically, and Ji's father had a gloomy face. Occasionally, he glanced at me with a look like an enemy who had killed his daughter and wished to cut me into pieces. The two of them left with Ito Makoto. I looked at him quietly without saying a word. At this time, Bawang walked up to me and said in a deep voice, "The Ji family can't tolerate you anymore. Boda, you should leave here." I looked up at him, and my eyes paused for a second at his red eyes. "Don't you blame me?" Ba Wang was stunned for a moment. He didn't answer yes or no, but just looked far away in the direction of the police car. His tone was as light as a gust of wind. Boda, you are also my brother. He said this in his previous life as well. He advised me not to take the blame. I asked him why. He lowered his eyes to look at me. His eyes were like wind and rain, gentle and compassionate. You are also my brother. It's just that I failed his advice. But this time, I decided to listen to him. I'm afraid that my parents hate me to the core now. Staying here will only add to their troubles. I said seriously. Brother, take care of yourself. Ba Wang curled the corners of his mouth, and his voice was obscure. Boda, live your life well. I packed my luggage and walked out of the G family and looked forward. The wind blew and rolled up the fallen leaves. At this moment, the sun fell on me, warm, and at this moment, a figure suddenly rushed in front of me. With a panicked tone, G Boda, I'm here, are you okay? I was stunned for a moment and looked up. The woman was wearing a black shirt. Her body was light and tall. Her eyes were deep, and the whole person was drowning in the morning sun, as if standing in the light. But at this moment, her face was slightly pale, and she looked at me nervously. Seeing that I was unharmed, her face relaxed. Her eyes paused on my suitcase for 2 seconds, and she spoke again with some hesitation. G Boda, you ran away from home. It was Lu Rian. To be more precise, it was Lu Rian who was much younger. The memories of the past quickly flashed through my mind. There were her gentle looks at me, her lazily yawning, and her holding my hand step by step into marriage. Finally, it was fixed on the evening when we first met. She seemed lazy, but in fact, she secretly clenched her hands. She asked me, G Boda, will you marry me? At this moment, my heart was beating fast, and my eyes were reluctant to leave the woman for a moment. Until she widened her eyes in panic and said in surprise, G Boda, why are you crying? Who bullied you? I cried. Why am I crying? I should be happy to see her again. But the emotions that were accumulated in my heart in the previous life turned into tears and flowed out from my heart. I couldn't stop crying. I cried, and Lu Rian accompanied me quietly. After a long time, she said, who bullied you? I will help you get revenge. Okay? I shook my head. No revenge. In this life, I just want to be with you. I don't want anything else. I followed Lu Rian back to her apartment. It was deserted, which was her style. In my previous life, after Lu Rian passed away, I lived here for a long time. It was a remembrance, but also a recollection. I couldn't explain it. I was already familiar with the layout of this place, but I didn't notice that when I walked skillfully into the deepest part. Turned the corner, pushed the door, and entered the bathroom. Lu Rian's eyes darkened for a moment, looking at my embarrassed self with red and swollen eyes in the mirror. I sighed softly and felt a little embarrassed. I was clearly determined to face Lu Rian decently. But every time we met, I was always so embarrassed. But it doesn't matter. Lu Rian loves me so much that she won't dislike me. Never. This is the most certain and confident thing in my life. When I walked out of the bathroom, Lu Rian was leaning against the door waiting for me. She asked me why I was crying. I told her everything that had just happened frankly. There was nothing to hide between her and me. After listening, Lu Rian was stunned. So, the Lu family wants you to take the blame. I nodded, but I refused. This matter will not end so easily. Although Lu Xiaoxiao was seriously injured and had not yet woken up, and there was no substantial evidence, we could only wait for her to wake up before we could resolve the blame. Even though Ito Makoto is now considered a major suspect by the police, I am also a suspect. The more she spoke, the gloomier her face became. I suddenly interrupted her. Lu Rian, I'm a little hungry. Her eyes paused and fell on me. Seeing that my eyes were clear and there was no tension, she sighed helplessly and said, I'll do it. I nodded. In my previous life, I had a serious stomach problem. So Lu Rian learned medicinal cuisine and cooked every day. She was very skilled. I thought she could cook. But when I saw the noodles she brought up, I suddenly realized that Lu Rian, a grown-up lady, had always been served by others. How could she cook from the beginning? She learned it for me. And it was always for me. I picked up the chopsticks and took a bite. It was quite salty. But Lu Rian looked at me expectantly. Is it delicious? There were tiny stars in her eyes. She was very beautiful, just like the woman in my memory who smiled and asked me if I liked her. I lowered my head, holding back the sour emotion, and nodded heavily. It was delicious, and I liked it very much. The last bowl of noodles was thrown into the trash can because I cried. Lu Ruyan thought it was unpalatable and cried, so she picked up the chopsticks and tasted a bite. Then, the next second, it was thrown into the trash can. She frowned and looked dissatisfied. I wanted to cry too. Why was it so unpalatable? It was very cute, which made me laugh out loud and dispersed the depression between my brows. I encouraged, "It's okay. Your cooking will definitely be delicious in the future." "Why?" I smiled. "Because I am your only diner in the future." The woman's eyes flashed, and her eyes seemed to be thinking about something. Revealing an unfathomable and profound look, she said in a deep voice, "G. Boda, who are you to me in the future?" I was stunned for a moment, raised my eyes to look at her, but met her dark eyes. Confident and determined, she guessed it, too. She is always so smart. Maybe I paused for a moment, then slowly said, "Lover, the one you love." I thought Lu Ruyan might be stunned or frown and ask, but she relaxed her expression and curved her eyes slightly. The corners of her lips lifted up, and she lost her carelessness and seemed very sincere. She said, "That's good, that's good," looking at the teardrop mole at the corner of her eye, trembling with a smile. I suddenly wanted to taste what it tasted like. I thought about it, and then I did it. I raised my foot and kissed her. In her astonished eyes, I smiled brightly. "Lu Ruyan, I like you so much. I forgot to tell you in my last life. In this life, I'll tell you that I like you. I have always liked you." Before going to bed, Lu Ruyan covered me with a quilt. "If you are scared, just call me, and I will come right away." Before leaving, she put the amulet she wore around her neck in my palm. I know this. Lu Ruyan was weak when she was a child, so Madame Lu asked for an amulet for her to protect her until she grew up. Now she also uses it to protect my safety. I clutched the jade pendant. My heartbeat fluctuated, and my cheeks were burning hot. It was not until Lu Ruyan slowly walked out and closed the door that I suddenly felt my face a little sore. I touched the corners of my mouth and found that I had been smiling. And my heart was swollen. Lu Ruyan is always like this. It seems that she never takes anything to heart. But in fact, she is the most attentive and gentle person. I did not fall asleep until midnight. I was a little excited and a little scared. I glanced at the phone beside the pillow and thought about it. I wondered if Lu Ruyan had fallen asleep now. I was a little afraid of disturbing her by calling her, so I might as well send her a text message. "Are you asleep?" I just sent it, but then I felt it was a bit unnecessary. I was about to withdraw the message when there were footsteps at the door. Then, there was the sound of the door being pushed open. When I opened my eyes again, Lu Ruyan was already standing in front of my bed by the window. The moonlight shone through the window on Lu Ruyan's shoulders. The sharp corners of her eyebrows softened a lot. She leaned over and asked softly, "Boda, what's wrong?" It was less than a minute after I sent the message, but she had already arrived. She was really practicing what she said. She said she would come. So no matter how late it was, she would come. Maybe, like me, she did not sleep well that night, just because she was afraid that I really needed her. Thinking of this, my heart was tightly tied into a ball. Painful and depressed, I stayed in Lu Ruyan's house for half a month. The most interesting thing was waiting for Lu Ruyan to come home. She went into the kitchen to work on her cooking. I leaned against the door, watching her quietly and occasionally helping her. Under the warm yellow light, she tied her hair into a ponytail, revealing a beautiful but somewhat immature face, covered with a layer of soft gauze, revealing a faint tenderness. At this time, she has not yet graduated from college. Compared with the decisive and ruthless President Lu in the previous life, she is now a little immature and tender. This is a time that I have never participated in and never known. She occasionally raised her eyes and looked at me, with the corners of her lips slightly raised. The clear love in her eyes could not be hidden. She likes me so much. At this moment, I was shocked to realize that in the time when I was unaware, Lu Ruyan really liked me very much. My heart suddenly tightened, and the emotions in my heart flowed through my body through the blood, and finally turned into a long sigh, seeing that Lu Ruyan's cooking skills were getting better and better day by day. The Ji family, perhaps it should be called the Ito family now, finally couldn't hold back. I thought that the Ito family would not let Ito Makoto plead guilty and go to jail like this. But I didn't expect the Ito family to bribe Lu Xiaoxiao's agent and claim that I was the real culprit. So shameless. So despicable. In front of the camera, Ito Makoto's mother revealed the life story of Ito Makoto and herself. She cried with tears in her eyes. I really didn't expect that Boda would deliberately hurt others. He has always been a very good child. But now, to escape the crime, he actually framed his brother. Although Ah Cheng is my biological son, he has not enjoyed many days of happiness. Now he is going to be framed and imprisoned. Boda really makes me feel cold. Ito Makoto huddled in her arms and said, "Mom, don't be sad. My brother must have made a mistake because he was confused for a moment. If I can atone for my brother's sins, I am willing to do it for him. As long as he can respect you, it is enough." The mother and son wailed in front of the media and cried pitifully. The person who made the mistake must take responsibility. And you don't have to bear the responsibility for what you shouldn't bear. Finally, Yi's father faced the camera and said righteously, "Ji Boda, my family has raised you for so many years. I hope you can stand up and atone for your mistakes." As soon as the video was leaked, the internet launched a crusade against me. I am truly an ungrateful person. It's just that I'm not worthy of Lu Rian. Lu Rian wanted to help me dispel the rumors, wanted to attend the press conference with me, and file a lawsuit against those who gossiped about me. But I didn't think it was necessary. I'd been to jail before. And although I had a clear conscience, I didn't want Lu Rian to be criticized because of this. But this angered Lu Rian. She asked me coldly whether I cared about her and whether I regarded her as my wife. But I just thought it was better to handle it coldly. I thought she was being unreasonable. That day, the lights were not on in the living room. Only the afterglow of the setting sun remained. After a long silence, she sneered and said softly, "You are living in this world with a clear conscience. I will not allow others to point fingers at you. Ji Boda, do you understand?" I remained silent and refused to reply to her. When I was leaving, I looked back, but I could see her lonely back. I was a little regretful. I thought I might as well agree to her. It was just a small thing. But I didn't expect that it would be the last time we saw each other. After she died, I asked myself again and again, why didn't I want to accompany her? Why didn't I want to tell her my feelings? Those bunches of lilies, that meticulous care, those focused eyes. Am I really not aware that she loves me? I clearly know it, but I am a bastard who takes advantage of others' love. I was sure that Lu Rian would accompany me until the end of my life. I indulged in her love willfully. But I never comforted her uneasy heart. Until she died. I understand love, but the cruelest thing about love realized afterward is that before I have the chance to confide in her, before I have the chance to get close to her, I have already completely lost her. And there is no chance anymore. Coming back to this life is the chance God has given me to make up for it. I can't care about the reserve, shyness, and gradual progress of love. And I can't learn it. I just want to be with her. Just want the most, and want more. So I hugged Lu Rian tightly, and then kissed her lips. As our lips and teeth were pressed against each other, I panted softly and said, "Okay, you help me, and I will pay you a reward in advance." Lu Rian was stunned for a moment, then pushed me down on the sofa even deeper and harder. 2 hours later, I was too tired to get up, but I hugged Lu Rian tightly, refusing to let go. I looked at her. She was so sleepy that she couldn't open her eyes. But she still didn't want to close them. I was still a little afraid that this was a dream. She leaned over and gently kissed my cheek and forehead. "I'm here. Boda, go to sleep. I'm always here." I hummed, and couldn't hold on any longer, and fell into darkness. In darkness, I woke up with a start. I was wearing indigo pajamas, lying in a black and white bedroom. There was a glass of cold water on the bedside table, and white pills next to the water. I looked around. It was cold and deserted. But there was no familiar person. My pain suddenly throbbed. Memories emerged in my mind, one scene after another, and finally stopped at that low, hoarse voice with emotion. "Boda, I really like you." It turned out to be a dream. It suddenly occurred to me that it was a beautiful dream. I clutched my chest tightly. My hands and feet were cold, as if I was covered in a net. And I was deprived of the right to breathe little by little. Tears fell one by one. "Boda, What's wrong? A person suddenly opened the door and walked in front of me, looking at me in panic, with tears in his eyes. I raised my hand to wipe away my tears, and finally saw the woman's appearance clearly. Boda, it's okay. I just went out to solve the G family's problems. I found the agent who was bought by the G family, and I found the cleaner who happened to pass by that day. She saw that it was Ito Makoto who pushed Lu Xiaoxiao down. Ito Makoto was convicted, and I am suing the people of the G family for false accusations. Boda, no one will falsely accuse you again in the future. The woman patted my back gently and told me everything that happened while I was sleeping. I looked up at her, listened to the clear and strong heartbeat coming from my chest, and finally laughed. It's okay. I miss you, I told her softly. Lu Rian, have I told you that I really like you? The woman laughed and hugged me tightly in her arms. She said, I like Boda too. People who love each other finally told each other their love after many years. Mountains, seas, time, and space cannot hinder the reunion of people who love each other. Lu Rian Extra. I was reborn. After my rebirth, the first time I came to the G family, I found that the G family was still harmonious, and G Boda was still the most popular person in the whole college. The coldest and smartest man. Not the one in his previous life who seemed gentle but whose heart was already broken. Boda had no sense of security. Prison was too hard, and he was envied and hated. Those prisoners often tortured him deliberately in the middle of the night, and made him unable to fall asleep after he was released from prison. As long as there was a little noise, he would wake up, and then he could not fall asleep again, and he would sit all night. But even so, he could do his work without any mistakes during the day. My Boda was fragile snow and tough pine. It seemed that a ray of light could melt him. But in fact, he was indestructible. I loved him and admired him. At the school's freshman ceremony, G Boda gave a speech as the president of the student union. I was sitting in the audience and looked at him from afar. The boy was wearing a uniform, revealing a handsome yet immature face. He wanted to show his charm and knowledge, which attracted many people who were not only impressed by him, but also deeply captivated. At that time, Boda was the youthful and simple academic genius in my memory. G Boda stood on the podium, the wind brushing against his face. His hair was blown loose. The sun seemed to favor him, bathing him in a soft golden light. In that instant, I suddenly wished time could stop right there. He would never have to face hardships and could always remain pure and simple. He would laugh when he was happy and suffer when he was in pain. He wouldn't be subjected to rumors or ridicule. How wonderful that would be. I already knew something would happen to Ito Makoto, so I had installed surveillance in that remote corridor. When I wanted to release the footage, I received a message from G Boda asking for help. At that moment, I knew Boda had returned too. I wanted to understand his attitude this time and how he would handle the G family. But this time, he refused to take the blame and left the G family behind. I saw him quietly dragging his luggage, walking alone down the deserted Wutong Avenue. When he saw me, he smiled, and in that moment, I felt. The sun was so warm that day. I took him home. I pretended to be unaware of everything. I worked hard for a long time and made a bowl of plain noodles. Seeing his stunned expression, I slowly guided him to realize my love for him. Seeing his heart begin to tremble for me, I should have been happy. But the moment I saw his tears, I felt heartache again. Forget it. I thought that loving him was enough. Whether he loved me back didn't matter. But in the end, he threw himself into my arms, held me tightly, and said, Lu Rian, I really like you. At that moment, I felt as if the sky had burst into bloom. I struggled to hold back the tears and replied to my prince. Word by word, me too. G Boda, I really like you too. People say those who love each other are destined to meet again. So I believe the sun will always shine warmly on the day we reunite. The end.